Okay,
Yes.
thank you. The title of your following task is the general dimensions of teaching children. It is a response paper. What is a response paper? Well, most of you are familiar with these kinds of essays because you were my students in the strategies course at the beginning of your BA. And you know that a response paper is an argumentative essay. An argumentative essay which is structured by following guidelines, but that also gives you the opportunity to speak up your mind in a professional manner. Okay. Uh, a response paper is also an option for those who feel comfortable expressing their ideas and insights uh, by the written discourse. Um, you are to follow a couple of guidelines which aim at shedding light on the professional side of writing, academic writing, and it also attempts to be one space for you to discuss with the literature, discuss with the theory, with the research we've been exploring, and to reflect on the activities that you have done so far, because this is going to be a symbolic end of the session of unit 1, okay, and part of unit 2 as well. If you've noticed, we've been working since the last week with Unit 2 and Unit 3 simultaneously, and that's because of the organization of the course in an online manner. But just to finish up the first unit and part of the Unit 2, it's necessary to have this activity, which is kind of, it's not a test, it's a way of expression. And what you need to do is to write a 250 paper, 50 words more or 50 words less, but it's one sheet long, approximately. You need to include an introduction, a body to develop your ideas, and one conclusion. The introduction needs to state your position. What kind of a position? Well, you're going to see the topics in a moment. Now, the body, it should be divided into 3 paragraphs. Okay, so you're gonna have 5 paragraphs in the end. Each of them should have a topic sentence. The topic sentence has been already explored in your previous courses, so you already know what a topic sentence is. And each topic sentence should support the position stated in the introduction. Sorry. You need to underline the topic sentence for each paragraph. The conclusion should restate your position with different words. Kind of a paraphrase, paraphrasing your ideas in the introduction. Include your references and the sources of information you used in a separate sheet following the APA formatting. It could be the 2016 edition or 2017. Okay, it's up to you. This is the way you should structure your paper. State your position. I partly agree or I partly disagree. Paragraph 1 with the topic sentence, which should agree with your position in the introduction, and you need to underline the topic sentence. Okay, it's not a subheading, no, it's topic sentence. The rest of the paragraph should support your topic sentence and be properly seated by using the surname, the year, and the number of the page, in case you use block quotation. If you paraphrase, you don't need to use the page, okay? Paragraph 2, a topic sentence to support your introduction. Supportive sentences and proper citations. Topic sentence, paragraph 3, and you carry out the same. And finally, one conclusion, you restate your original position in the introduction. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs. The topics for you to develop are gonna be this 6 ones here, 6. You need to choose only one, okay? You could use the topic as a title of your paper. The first one is young children can learn a second language particularly effectively before puberty, since their brains are still able to use the mechanisms that assisted L1 acquisition. You could agree or disagree, but of course you need to support your ideas with the authors we've been studying. Children should acquire the second language by means of comprehensible input. Agree or disagree? You're gonna choose only one, okay? But you have plenty of options. Next option for you. Children learn through operant conditioning. Sorry, which is related to what we explore in the literature. Next option, D. Children are born with an innate capacity for language. Next option, language is learned through social interaction. And finally, this is the last option for you, personality types, language learning strategies and learning styles play a paramount role for designing lessons. You will upload your response paper to the folder, the Drive folder called First Response Paper in a new folder with your name. Deliver the paper in a Word file named first_response_paper_Cleserio, your name. After loading your paper, explore the folder and go to one of your classmates' response paper. Click it there, explore one paper, read the paper, and respectfully comment only on content. Okay? Content related information only. Insert comments on your classmates file itself. Okay? This exercise is going to be a peer dialogue, okay? And it's going to be important for your professional development and for exchanging your ideas with others, okay? You could choose a different topic from the one you wrote or the same one you decide. The last day for you to carry out the activity is Wednesday, November 4th, next Wednesday at 3 in the afternoon. Please try to be organized. You have a week, you have all this week to do it. You can take your time, proofread your paper, write it at the weekend and then read it on Monday again. Be careful with the spelling, organize your ideas, try to be coherent and achieve cohesion at the same time. Structure your topic sentences very well, and well, try to be critical with your classmates' ideas. Try to be respectful at the same time, but also discuss the main points they state and try to be critical to foster discussion, okay? This is what you need to do. I'm gonna send you an email with instructions, okay? In the evening today, and I'm gonna check your tasks for giving you the your proper scores and the appropriate grades. Okay, you can find this response paper in unit I think it's unit 2. But if you go to activities, you can find it there as well. Let me see. My internet works. Hold on. Okay, content. You go to unit 2. Okay, okay, unit 2, and there you have response paper. Okay, here it is. Now, if you go to oh shoot, wait, to the drives folder, you will see there the folder in which you need to upload your response paper. You will see it's loading. Hold on. It's here. You go to the folder response paper, first response paper. And here you create a new folder. Okay, you create a new folder with your name and you place your response paper there. This is the rubric for evaluation: formality, mechanics, which is grammar, critical thinking, coherence and cohesion, and quoting, paraphrasing, and references is also included there. These are some recommendations. They are also guidelines, but they are more recommendations before you hand it in. You should give it a go first, read it, and check some recommendations there. And this is also about the instructions and characteristics of the response paper. But you can find everything here if you go to Eminus. Okay. Do you have any questions about this task?
No, I don't have questions yet.
Please, listening to you.
Yeah, I didn't listen to if it is hour limit, limit hour.
Yeah,
Like
at 3 in the afternoon, at 3
3
on
as
Wednesday.
well.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just
thank
like
you.
this week.
Okay, thanks.
Anyways, you can find it out there. You know, you can check it in the Eminus instruction. You will see the date and the time for delivering your task. Of course, you can do it on at the weekend, and that would be great for me because I would check it immediately. But if you can't, and if you want to check it and proofread it, well, you can do it on Monday, on Tuesday, or Wednesday. But after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I won't be able to check it because I have a bunch of work to get through as well. Okay, thank you very much. Now, I'm gonna share a short presentation with you. Just give me a sec. Please, give me a sec. We're knocking on my door, sorry. I'm gonna share the presentation now. Yeah. Okay. Well, you were already familiar with the strategies because it was part of your training. As far as I know, you all had this course, you all took the course at the beginning of your studies. You are familiar with what a strategy is, you know the root of the word, you know the nature of a strategy, which is a personal construction, but also a social construction once you start interacting with people. Um, has to do with your personality type. Remember that we also explored a couple of personality types with John at the beginning of the program. Um, Open perceiving, or closure oriented, or learning styles, if you can remember, visual, reading and writing, and the Bark taxonomy, for auditory learners, etc. Now, this is important to consider because we are checking learner variables, and the diversity of personalities we have with children is even well more relevant at the moment of choosing the activities we're going to implement, and also at the moment of designing our lesson plans. Um, these strategies we are about to check have some implications for your potential teaching, because there are some strategies for learning, but we will also be impacted by such strategies in order to develop our strategies for teaching. And those strategies for teaching have been evolving, through the literature, through research, and by investigating. um, some data has suggested that our teaching strategies are also social constructions, and they also have to do with your training, with your formation, but they are also influenced by the approaches we follow in our own ideas about teaching. So these strategies are to be taken into consideration, but to certain extent, they're going to be influencing our teaching strategies in the classroom. And at the end of the course, I'm going to share with you a couple of these strategies, which are very common in our context, in Mexican education system, in this setting, and for the languages arena, which is our main focus. So those strategies for teaching I will be sharing at the end of the course might be very interesting because they are part of the so-called post method, post approach, where your social construction of strategies and your training, of course, um, determines to a certain extent an eclectic approach for teaching children. It's going to be very interesting. But before going to such strategies, we need to explore the ones from our children. Um, well, the root of the word strategy comes from the Greek. At the beginning, it was related to winning a war, and military wars, and strategies for taking a couple of steps beyond in winning a war, in short. However, the word evolved in the use of the word strategy was employed for behaviorism, how to achieve a goal by means of effort, reactions, actions, and taking opportunities in order to um, get a reward. And then it was employed for the education field, and the strategy was supposed to be a personal construction, an individual building of steps, behaviors, actions in order to achieve an academic goal. And for the languages arena, for the languages scenario, a couple of researchers and scholars focused on personality types, learning styles, and L2 for foreign language and second language, both contexts, in order to create a classification. And that classification took into consideration the characteristics of children, the characteristics of teenagers, by means of the identification of behavior, thought processes, and in elements around behavior in the classroom, such as motivation, attitude, stress, anxiety, um, different social status, and different uh, cultural capitals, their backgrounds, children's backgrounds, and also teenagers' backgrounds for identifying the procedures they follow in order to build up their own strategies. Now, certainly the word learning strategy and language learning strategy, the concept, has been placed into the positive dimension. Okay, if it is strategy, is because it works. It works for achieving a learning goal, specific objectives for learning languages. But what is helpful for me might not be for others. And that's why some researchers started investigating how can a strategy become positive for a groups of people, for communities of practice, for societies, for specific languages. And the result of this exploration was data on how the strategy needs to be implemented and how it has to be fostered. First, the strategy needs to be related to the L2 task. Okay, so here the role of the teacher is very important because you are going to be the designers of tasks, activities, assignments, and homework. The strategy needs to be related to the L2. How can it be related to a learning goal? What target language goal? Well, it has to be focused on linguistic goals. Language is going to be the focus of the task. It has also to enhance critical thinking and metalinguistic skills. Not only metacognition, but also metalinguistic skills. And for working with children, we need to take into consideration the theories we explore. And they are going to be guiding, to a certain extent, the way we design tasks and activities. Because for crashing, for example, metalinguistic skills development is a long process, a time-consuming process that happens naturally after a certain period of time. While, for Piaget, we have upper conditioning. We have stages. We can work with active learning. So yeah, we think of learning strategies, but we also think of the theory, and we try to relate our tasks, our dynamics in the classroom with the strategy, whether cognitive, metacognitive, direct or indirect. We're going to check the taxonomy in a minute. Next, the strategy needs to fit the particular student's learning style preferences to one degree or another. This is very complex because the classroom of children is full of diversity. Everybody has got a learning style preference and it's unique. But when creating a community of practice and when working with children, we certainly learn to discriminate, generalizations, commonalities they share, and they really help for guiding the classroom and the ship to a certain extent. Next, the child employs this strategy effectively by means of scaffolding, by working with the ZPD, by comprehensible input, by monitoring their learning, and links the strategy with other relevant strategies. For example, a memory-related one with a compensatory one, by movement, by body language, by using total physical response strategies. Um, Next, your awareness of the use of strategies. Well, learning strategies can also enable children to become critical thinkers from the very beginning. It's very difficult to be autonomous, but it's also part of children's personality. Um, if they follow a constructivist approach for learning, they are likely to become autonomous. I can tell you that. In my experience, most children who follow this constructivist approach become really organized people, people who have schedules, people who help at home, children who are likely to participate in making decisions at home, at school. Um, you know, they are people who are involved in taking responsibility of learning. They are really organized in the classroom, and the same happens for different kinds of different theories. Sorry. Okay. So we need to be aware that when using and enhancing strategies, we are also enhancing and motivating students to follow certain approaches, procedures, and paradigms. You know, they become paradigms for modules for them to follow and to structure their their cognitive development, um, and their minds as well. Well, we have a definition here. This is a definition we were going to work on by face-to-face teaching and learning. It can be possible. It's going to be difficult to work in groups and in trios, but what we can do is to explore the definition and to come up with a couple of ideas and insights into the definition. According to Oxford, learning strategies are specific actions, behaviors, steps, and techniques. She gives a couple of examples: conversations, giving oneself encouragement, and I don't know if you can remember Vygotsky's theory of this inner speech, you know. Um, Another strategy could be memorizing words or compensatory strategies. But the main focus of using strategies is to keep on learning. Okay, it's for learning to take place. How do children enhance their own learning? By means of scaffolding, by means of routines, by being active, by working on their ZPDs, and by providing them with straightforward input, you know, and by understanding that output will eventually take place, but it's a process. Now, according to this taxonomy, which is the most contextualized one for our setting, for we Mexican people, is Oxford's classification of direct and indirect strategies. But they are called direct and indirect strategies just because they are divided into cognitive development, all your brain work, and your organizational, affective, and social skills. For direct strategies, we have memory-related ones, for the use of drills, repetitions, and there you have implications of the audiolingual method, the grammar translation method, and the traditional methods that are currently employed in different contexts and that are actually very useful for certain situations. You also have cognitive strategies which have to do with problem solving, with working with logic, with working with symbols, etc. Compensation strategies, which are actually a compensation, they compensate the lack of knowledge regarding the language by means of movement, gesticulation, smiling, moving around. Body language, okay, and also replacement of words, okay. The use of the L1 here, if they share L1 in the classroom, of course, if we're not talking about a multicultural classroom, we can say that a compensation with the L1 would be beneficial sometimes. But if we have a multicultural classroom, well, it's going to be difficult to use the L1. It would just interfere with your message, with meaning, with form, and it would be confusing for students. It wouldn't work at all. But if we are talking about our context here in Mexico, where we teach English as a foreign language, well, a compensation strategy could be really helpful for providing with meaning, and then to work on form. But it also gives you the opportunity as a teacher to shed light on the use of the language, which is communication, communicative purposes. And that's actually what we are working for. We want children to communicate, to understand, to provide with messages. It's just a, in summary, to sum up the idea, a compensation strategy works on structure, form, but at the same time, it includes meaning and use. So it has 3 dimensions, and it's very interesting how you can achieve it by letting children continue working with the L1 and L2. When you have very young children, well, instead of interference constraints, as some linguists might state, it could be beneficial for providing with meaning and discriminating the use of the words. Now, for indirect strategies, you have affective strategies, which are very close related to the affective filter hypothesis by Krashen. Emotions are important, and including this dimension in the language learning arena is very important for children. Remember that they are very affective, they are very emotional, they are cruel, they are very honest, but they are very sensitive at the same time. So the affective filter and effective strategies such as praising and motivating and working on their attitude is fundamental for learning to take place. Metacognitive strategies are also important, and they are related to the philosophy of the school and external elements. Now that you carried out your needs analysis and your contextual analysis, you should have uh, reflected on the importance of including external factors for your teaching, such as the curriculum, such as the syllabus design, such as the communication with authorities, the philosophy of the school, your payment, of course, and the amount of hours you work for the school, the organization, and that's going to have a impact on what you transmit to students. It also has to do with teachers burnout. If we're talking about the extreme opposite direction. We also have social strategies, which are very important for working collaboratively, we need to identify the stage in which children are situated in order to work on their social interaction. Remember that there is one stage for children in which they feel really egocentric. They like to be working alone individually, and there are certain tasks which demand social interaction, working in pairs, working with others, and they actually get so involved in the task, in the activity, that suddenly they forget they are working collaboratively in teams and they are forming groups. It's that you need to include a sense of belonging for your classroom, and there are certain activities and strategies for building this bond in the classroom for children. Just to give you an example, designing a chain of abilities, a chain of talents for each child, and then putting them together and to paste them in front of your classroom might be a very good idea for working on social strategies, working together, finding out commonalities in your children, and motivating them for learning languages. It could be the very first day of classes. It's very entertaining, and it's really effective for identifying the strengths of children, their talents, their positive characteristics, and also to find the characteristics for every single child in the classroom to form a personality of a group. Well, we had one activity, but unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have the time to do it. It was about the discrimination of each kind of a strategy. But you are already familiar with learning strategies, and I don't think that's going to be a constraint, but we're going to save time. Well, no, this. Well, this was for the previous course, but anyways, this is an example of what you did. Something we didn't check regarding learning strategies is this biological dimension of gender differences, location, affairs, sustenance, and biorhythms. But if you can remember from the literature, sustenance, location, and biorhythms play an important role in the language classroom, and especially for children. So you need to be really careful with them. You need to establish agreements. You need to establish schedules, and also to understand everybody's needs. But regulations, well, they're not regulations. Agreements are well, you come to agreement with children and with parents at the very beginning of your courses. In order to achieve in order to come to agreement with them, you need to establish the times for having lunch, times for drinking water, times for meetings, for the temperature of the classroom, the material you're going to use, schedules for each of your tasks, and well, you need to keep the authorities informed about your lesson plans as well. For the activity for learning styles and strategies was already delivered. I'm going to check it, and well, there was this well, is a scoring rubric for your task. Okay, so that you can be scored, and I think that's going to be. Well, that was your task about learning strategies, the analysis of the context. The idea was to take into consideration The external factors that may affect your teaching and that may affect learning as well. Um, by analyzing your context or your potential context. If you're not teaching at the moment, you can reflect on your own learning and future learning that hopefully will take place with your future children, with your future learners, and um, and the strategies for raising awareness on individual concerns and also building the personality of your group. You could have focused on different characters if you didn't find any child to identify if you're not teaching at the moment. So I think you had the opportunity for reflecting, for analysis, and for researching as well. It was doing a brief research on strategies and um, the elements around teaching regarding the context. I don't know if you have a question or a comment. If you found any constraint or difficulties for carrying out your task, you could share it with us. I'm listening to you. Well, no, not really. Well, I knew it somehow. You're very intelligent people. You're quite prepared. Well, your tasks have been really relevant and insightful. And anyways, if you happen to find any constraint or query while doing your tasks, you can always send me an email, and I will be willing to help and to exchange ideas and information. I need to stop this session now because I have a meeting at 4. I told you that I'm part of the board for redesigning the BA, and I'm in charge of analyzing the different learning experiences. So I need to be there at 4 in a different platform. But I'm gonna send you an email at around 6 for doing the following task, which is the response paper, and also for giving you your grades regarding your previous tasks. Okay, does that sound good to you?
Yes, teacher, it's okay.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Yes.
Thanks. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, teacher.
Well, thank you
Thank
for your
Thank
you.
you.
time.
Thanks, teacher.
Yeah, thank
Nice
you for
week.
your time, for your uh, interest in doing the tasks, and for being here. We are just very few people today, right? But I think that's very good. That's very good for us to take advantage of time, to take advantage of these synchronic sessions for asking questions in case they emerged, and for clarifying our ideas and sharing information together. Okay, I appreciate it for your time, for being on time here, and for delivering your tasks in due time. Have a nice afternoon. If you have any question, please send me an email and we'll keep in touch. Okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
See you, teacher.
Thanks a lot.
See
Bye.
you.
Check.
Uh, thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You
Bye.
too. Thank you. I'm gonna stop recording this.